sure what you own, but this here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts. Really focused, WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grinded. In the trenches, putting that work in, I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men, the boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top, we doing cone drills. The hottest show in the world, you don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work, you see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first, we wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say, oh, similar to a razor blade, we gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.
What it do? The On Your Mark Show back, powered and sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel. Every play I compete, live from the Fishbowl Radio Network. It's Wednesday. We up here to educate and elevate you as we do every week. Got a special guest in the house, Wall Street athletes. Listen, shout out to Coach Y Salumba. Got my guy, Coach AJ, in the building. Listen, we're going to talk some real things today. We'll talk about Wall Street athletes and what they do for these athletes. Of course, my guy, Coach Jay, in the building on the phone with us. This is what we do on a weekly basis. We appreciate you joining us and tapping in with us. Coach Jay, what it do?
Man, what it do? It's always a blessing, Mark. Always a blessing. On the road still. I should be back in the studio real soon. So just a blessing to be here, man. Let's get it.
Man, let's get it. That's what we do, man. Of course, Wall Street athletes. Listen, so I've had a chance to get to know these guys as an organization for a number of years. Big organization, plays 7-on-7, but just about athletes in general. We're going to dive into what they do, the culture. Coach Wise is on his way. He's running a little late. We'll talk to him shortly. But I got Wall Street in the building, man. First of all, appreciate you joining us today and tapping in with me. Tell everybody your name and what you do with Wall Streets.
What's going on, everybody? It's Coach AJ. I am the spiritual advisor, the mental coach, the get them out of the mud coach for Wall Street. We are family.
Absolutely. Now, talk about how you got to this point. Some of the things and endeavors that you've been working in prior to getting in with Wall Street. I know we talked off air. You kind of met Coach Wise at a tournament when your nephew was playing. Then you kind of came in and got within the organization in the last year or so.
Yes, sir.
But I always like to visit with coaches and your backstory and how you got involved.
So I met Coach Wise back in 2018, 2019. We were in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
They got the big 7-on-7 tournaments.
Absolutely.
And my sister had told me, I got Trey with Coach Wise. And I'm like, who is this dude? You know what I'm saying? Because he was bringing the dog out of my nephew. So we made it a trip that we would go to Florida and check him out. And I met Coach Antoine and Coach Wise at my nephew's tournament. And the way that they run things, the way that they move things with Wall Street, I told my nephew, this is the place you need to be. This is the place you need to develop yourself. And from Wall Street doing what they did with my nephew is now playing at the D1 level in Utah at Weber State. Shout out to Trey Parks Vincent.
Absolutely. Now, coming in, let's take it another step, and before we get into what your role is, what you do.
Yes, sir.
From a parent's perspective, or your nephew, from a family perspective,
yes. How
is it important for athletes to have an advocate as yourself, and then you being able to see these things? Hey, this is a guy. This is a organization that he needs to be with in order to get to the next level. Because that's the thing we talk about each week.
Yeah.
It takes a village.
Yes,
it's not just the athlete themselves. They have to have people that are on their team. They have to have people that are, advising them to do the right things. And then, when it comes to being an elite athlete, the training, who's coaching you, all of those things go wrapped into not, everybody's caught up in being stars and heavily recruited and getting offers and things. But the backstory of what these things, how these things happen and take place, speak on that a little bit and how it helped your nephew get to the next level.
So basically, like you said, you hit something very key. It takes a village, right? When it comes to being in sports, a lot of kids forget you need the mental stability in playing sports. 90% of what you do is mental. It's like 10% on the field. I remember we was talking with some of the players during the season, and we told them a lot of them want to make it to the NFL, and NFL mean not for long, right?
Absolutely.
And a lot of cats, they think it's all about athletic ability. Nah, you got to be mentally strong. And then being with the family knit type organization, what helps us is the fact that we could be saying the same thing, Mark, right?
Yeah.
But people resonated different from different voices. So different voices play different parts in those young men or young women's head that are part of the organization, right? And what we like to do, not just develop them on the field, but develop them off of the field, understanding character. That character is over your gifting. I don't care how good you are. If you have no character and your attitude is bad, it means nothing. Right. You're uncoachable.
Absolutely.
As an athlete, you got to always be coachable and being able to not just hear, but be a doer of what you're hearing, and then take constructive criticism without having your attitudes, right? So we're developing them from that type of level, and then we're just teaching them life skills, man. Because a lot of them, they don't understand. Not everybody is going to go D1.
Absolutely.
Not everybody is going to go D2. Matter of fact, some cats just may go JUCO. Absolutely. But you never know how your character could open up other doors to what you're trying to make. So
absolutely.
That's what we do at Wall Street.
Absolutely. And the proof is in the pudding. You guys have been doing this for a number of years. It's not something that started yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, it's not uncommon to see Wall Street athletes pull up. And it's not just one person in the organization. It's a bevy of people that work
we deep,
behind
bro.
the scenes. Deep. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you a quick little story, and Ben can contest to this. We were just in Utah at a 7-on-7 tournament, and when we walked in there, everybody said they deep.
No doubt.
It was 40 players, and then we got about 15 coaches, and then we had the families too. And see, that's another thing that I love about our organization. Why is it so strategic about what he does? He keeps it family knit.
Yeah.
So not everybody can be down,
no
but
doubt.
but it's so family knit. Like if you married and you got a wife, if your wife want to come, your wife could come. You
Absolutely.
know what I'm saying? We keep it family because it's a nurturing side that we just not do on the field, but that we do off of the field, man. So we roll deep, man.
Absolutely, man. And I've been around you guys as an organization for a number of years, and I've seen it.
Yeah.
Coach Jay, we speak about that village every week.
Yeah, man.
How this helps shape athletes and also helps with their recruiting. They have to have more than just one voice, and that also includes the high school coach as well. Coach Jay, speak on that a little bit.
Man, going back to when we grew up, being a part of the village, having guys, parents always tell us, listen, you can do anything you put your mind to, and then that level of accountability.
Yeah.
It's so important to have people around you that believe in you, and then you hear the same things over and over to where it really starts to stick and resonate within you to the point where you can start envisioning and seeing, and then you have the people that's been there, that roadmap to help guide you, that's going to push you and hold you accountable to achieve the things that you say you want to do. That's very important. I don't believe in that, self-made thing, because somebody along the way somewhere has helped everybody that's made it. And it literally takes a village. And I love the whole Wall Street thing. Backstory about me, I grew up, my parents still live on a street called Wall Street. So that's a personal thing for me. Spent the majority of my life in St. Louis on Wall Street. So, and then of course, you have the Tulsa, but that's always been personal, and my parents are still on Wall Street. But that village mindset, man, I learned, how to play sports in my neighborhood. The hard way, the good, the bad, the ugly. The village was what kept me going. From my internal village, my parents, my cousins, aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers, and my external, people in the church, people in the neighborhood. All of those things help create the person I am today. So the village is very important.
Well, it's key in all aspects, not just in the sports realm, but just in society.
Yeah.
I think well-rounded individuals have more than one mentor in their particular village, in their particular circles, and those are the type of things that help athletes. Since we're talking about athletes and talk about recruiting, talk about sports on a weekly basis. That's where you see those guys go to the next level.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you have to have those things. And Wall Street is a perfect example of that. And I love, and I've always been fond of you guys. You always had good players as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And those players are attracted to that. You know what I'm saying? And the mentorship part, I think, plays a big role in what you guys do. Coach AJ, just speak on that a little bit.
So what we do, man, so after every practice, if it's not myself or us bringing in an ex-NFL player or somebody that's at that level of where these kids are going to, we have them talk to the kids after every practice. Talking to them from a spiritual side, talking to them from a mental side, and then talking to them from a physical side, and then just motivating them to the level of, hey, listen, it's on the field, but it's off the field too. And we're big on, again, I'll go back to character. We're big on character because at the end of the day, you represent Wall Street, right? If you throw this logo on, you put this on your shirt, you put this on your chest, and you walk around with it, there's a certain standard that we have to hold, right? Because at the end of the day, if we're a family don't go against each other. We come together and we build and we work it. So that's some of the things that we do even after practicing. And then we're having one-on-ones. Shout out to the big dog, just walked in the room. Y'all seen him, hair out, looking good. Look at him. But that's just one of the things that we do after practices. Like I said, having people come talk to them, and then just saying, "Hey, I need to have a one-on-one with you, coach.
Right.
And I need to go deeper than sports right now. I'm having some issues with this at home, and it's affecting how I play on the field. So we're trying to figure that at home too.
Absolutely.
So just stuff like that, man. It's a family affair.
Absolutely. Coach Wise in the building, man. Listen,
Coach Wise.
I've been knowing this guy for a little time. We always kind of run around at these tournaments. Been covering him and his players for a little while. Coach, tell me, what was the genesis of Wall Street and what that means in a sense to what you guys bring to the table, not just as on the field, but as an organization?
So, like, I don't know how much Coach Ajay or Rev, Ajay or Counselor.
They call me Rev, too. That's what they call me.
Just a good mentor to have, So, yeah, I don't know what Rev said, Counselor. But one of the things about Wall Street, the whole foundation, a little bit of a background, the way it started is like everybody needs, you're your own Brandon. A husband and wife getting together, you're trying to pursue this woman, you're trying to pursue this man. You're your own brand. Together you become as one, You do a kind of a background check. So I reverse it going back to athletes, going in for a job, applying for job interviews, job employees, and et cetera. So whenever you put it back as an athlete, it goes like this. It's like, hey, man, you're worth something. Now, what are you worth? Everybody's worth something.
Absolutely.
Now, it's up to us as the organization, as the staffs, to make them feel their worth. Like outside of the home, outside of the fields, we don't know how they're living.
Right.
We know how they're living, but we don't know what's going on. They could be living, being rich or poor, but there's something going on wrong.
Right.
But they're all worth something. So you got to make them feel worth something. So now as an athlete, what are you worth?
Right.
It's all about you. So you had a good year, a bad year. You got hurt, a mental breakdown. You got in trouble, or you feel like giving up on life. Now your stocks, it goes up and down.
Right.
It goes up and down. So now whenever you put that stock on the market value, somebody looks at the value of it and say, hey, it's worth that. Especially with NIL deals going on in college, high schools. So it's like, hey, what are you worth?
Right.
So now that's how the name of Wall Street came along, because now you start here from the high school, from a young age, and then your stock moves you to college. Coaches come in, new coaches come in, new coaches, changemen. Coaches might be like, hey, we like that guy even though we didn't recruit him. Why? Because he did what he was supposed to do, so he's worth it. This guy has a good character, so we can deal with this characteristic. So now your stock moves on to the next level. Some of us move on to the next level of playing in the NFL, Canadian ball, the XFL, or the European League, or the league in Mexico, South America, all these little leagues, or arena ball. But you still got a stock. Your stock is also your resume, and that's what people forget. So now it translates to the real world. How does it go to the real world? In the real world, it's like, hey, let me see your resume. It's pretty much saying, hey, let me see what you build up. Let me see what that stock is like. Let me do a background check on you, but then let me do a background check on the stock, seeing if it's going to go up when the market crashes, or it's going to stay steady. If that thing ain't dropping, it stays steady, we're good to go, because your stock is also how you come in mentally, physically. How you mentally whenever you had a bad day. You see what I'm saying? So, and it's who are the buyers? Who are the investors? The investors, mom, grandma, grandpa, a company, a donor, a random that you met, a blessing. Everybody has an angel, a blessing that you met. Regardless of your religion, your backgrounds, everybody has those core values right there. It's a blessing. Who is it? Who is this person? Who is this person? Now, who are the buyers? You right here, Big Mark. You're interviewing me. You could be interviewing me for a job. Boom. You're the one to try to buy me because you're trying to invest in me. You're also a buyer and an investor. College coaches are the buyers. NFL owners, hey, we're going to go draft this guy. NBA owners, we're going to go draft this guy. MLS soccer teams, we're going to drop this guy. MLB, we're going to drop this guy. We're going to draft these guys. So that's how it goes. So now everything goes back. Now, hey, you just got to keep moving, moving, and after that, the history just goes, it keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper, So whenever you hear movies about the Wolf of Wall Street, you hear movies called The Wall Street, you just kind of hear about the Black Wall Street. Everything just kind of goes deeper and deeper, but our main objective is that we care about our athletes, our stocks. Many teams tell us, hey, why don't you guys have 10 teams? I go, that's too much. 4 is enough. 3 is enough. Why? Because we believe in small, premium. Mm-hmm. I'll take 300 warriors instead of 5,000 warriors. Because the 300, we know how they're going to be built.
No doubt.
Everybody going to be built, all for one, one for all.
Right,
And it says that on our uniforms, And it also goes like this, Big Mark. You guys seen us out there. We're real humble. You want a show? We're going to give you a show.
No doubt.
You got to get your ticket to come in the DSR 7 tournaments. You got to get your tickets to go in the pylon. So that's why on our uniforms, it says, hey, it's a sold-out date. Parents, if you missed out your opportunity watching your kid play, your athlete play. So you better be lucky and catch it on video.
Right.
Because if you don't catch it on video, it is what it is.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we always say our actions speak louder than our words.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing about Wall Street. It's
Right.
not just that, but Wall Street is also family.
No doubt.
Because you're not going to find too many organizations that have Pacific Islanders kids, first generation African kids, Black Americans, white kids, Hispanic kids, Asian kids, and others mixed racial like Native Americans and more others, an Asian bloodline. We're a family of one.
Right.
So that's one of the things that we live in. So now we talked about the kids as individuality, but mentally we put them on the same level mentally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And physically, depending on what they're doing. But the biggest thing, especially with having like Mr. Ajay right here, Coach Antoine Bundage, which he does real good at getting them going. He's really the one that on the field, he's the one Coach Antoine Bundage gets this guys routed up because one, he gets them rounded up because he's also a businessman that runs a great gas oil equipment company called Dodge Equipment. Right. So he knows how to get them wired up because he teaches them how to turn it up and how to turn it down. And then Coach Eric Abea, that's one of our observers. Doesn't really say much, but he observes everything. When he speaks, he's gonna get on their case. When he speaks, it's like, yo, that cut through because he's been observing them. He does a background check on the kid, mom and dad, grandma, whoever's surrounding the kid's family. He observes everything about them. He doesn't speak much, but when he speaks, it's like, whoa, and he does great observance, especially whenever it's time to go on these college visits, especially whenever it's time to go to a lot of places,
right.
And after we have Coach Molo, Coach Molo is, more of our OG, our old school guy, kind of sits, he sits back, speaks when he needs to speak, but does more speaking in practice, kind of spools your aside, and he'll chew their butt out. Chew your ass out in front of 1,000 people.
Right.
Kind of jumps on your case and it kind of gets you going,
right.
And also kind of really makes you think about life because this is, Coach Molo Vahalahi, this is a guy that for last year, we've watched him fight cancer.
True.
He battled cancer out. So now, whenever you're looking at a man battling cancer as a kid, they're like, we have no excuse.
Right.
He's really going through it. Coach Molo was 325 pounds. Now Coach Molo is down to 240 pounds, and he's getting better, fight through cancer. So now it's like they kind of have everybody there with the counselor, with Coach Antoine being a motivator, Coach Eric being an observer, teaching them, hey, how to use your brain, and then Coach Molo is like, hey, it's just there, like you can't really knock it off, like it's right there in front of you. Facts. This is a living testimony.
Absolutely.
And then we obviously, Coach Jeremy Wormley, what he does more, touches base on a little bit about everything, kind of see what's going on wrong with the kids, and hey, should we do this, should we do that? Kind of touches base on a little bit on everything that he does. And then Coach Charles is what do we call our encourager. He's always going to encourage them no matter what. That's just his nature because he sees how everything is also, it's tough love, but it's tough love. So for him, he's like, he comes in on the encouraging side, and Coach Manasseh and Coach Prince Mavula, these are Coach Manasseh Kabongo and Prince Mavula, these are our young coaches. So players, these guys are 25, 26,
absolutely,
24. They can still be playing, but they're fresh out of college.
Right.
For us being on the older side, now they kind of see somebody like, hey, we can look up to them, like they know what they're talking about, and they're real good. Those are more of our calm coaches. They don't really yell. They do a lot of the analytical work, the X's and O's, and things off the field, So that's how they work, and they work, for young coaches in the industry. If I was a college coach, an NFL scout, I would go out there, Manasseh Kabongo and Prince Mavula, And we also have Coach Candy, where, he gets frustrated because he wants perfection. That's just what he wants. And that's the same way I am, but he lets it be known in public. Perfection, perfection, perfection. Obviously Coach Candy comes from a background of playing at Kansas, working at Kansas, winning the state championship right down the road here at Euless Trinity.
Right.
So his background is perfection, perfection, perfection. Obviously he gets frustrated and stuff. He gets frustrated 1,000 times, but that's just how he is, which is great because all of us have irons. We're all sharpening the irons from different, multiple angles.
Right.
And people always ask me, like, what's my role? I go, well, my role is in practice, either love me or you hate me.
No doubt.
Because my role is, I'm going to text you in the morning. When I get done, do what I got to do through the day, I'm going to text you at night. I'm going to make sure you're good. Because once you get in the real world, it ain't right.
No doubt.
It's tough.
Well, somebody has to be the conductor of the train.
That's a fact.
You know
Yes,
what I'm
sir.
saying? And I've watched you work. So, shout out to Prince Mavula. I actually covered him when he was in high school at Northwest High School.
Yep.
One of the better quarterbacks in the area at his particular time. With Gavin Holmes and those guys, that was a great team. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And you mentioned Coach Wormley, who's Riley Wormley's dad, who's one UAC commit.
And that's DeMarco. Mm-hmm. So there's two Wormleys,
Okay.
So DeMarco Corbin, because I forgot about Coach DeMarco.
Okay.
Coach DeMarco. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Coach DeMarco. Mm-hmm. That's Riley's big brother.
For sure.
So he's what we are, our emotional guy. You can see it through his face.
Yeah.
Because that's just how he cares. That's just how he plays the game with passion. So he's one of the ones that, he's real good. Coach DeMarco's real good because he has an eye, and when he sees the talent, he knows how to polish it up and kind of be like, hey, I'm going to give you a chance and opportunity. Yeah. At the same time, he's also kind of picking up his phone call, calling out his college coaches, those that he knows, and with him being Riley Wormley's big brother, mm-hmm. he holds Riley, obviously we all do, to a higher standard.
Absolutely.
It's like Riley good enough is not good enough.
No doubt.
And that's
gotta
how
keep pushing him.
Exactly. And that's how DeMarco holds Riley to a standard, which is DeMarco Corbin is Riley Wormley's big brother.
Right.
So as for me, I really like when we travel Wall Street, as you know, Big Mark, mm-hmm. I don't like being in the mainstream.
Right.
But it's one of those things where if a company or organization, whoever it is, if they want to speak to somebody, obviously I'll raise my hand. I'm right here, take initiative, take accountability. But now when it's time to get on the field, like our church says, if you want to dance, I'm going to give you a dance.
No doubt.
You want a show? I'm going to we're going to give you a show.
Right.
It's like, how do you want it now?
Absolutely.
It's like we tell our opponent, these circuits, as you guys know, are DR7s, forgive me, Munfrey, but if you want a show, don't let us in. We're gonna give you a show. We're gonna put on a show for you.
No doubt.
So that's
doubt.
and that's how it is, seeing you out there, especially with Reggie McNeil, all American and Texas A&M, shout out to Reggie doing good things with his organization in Houston, Reggie knows, like, as he was working, like, hey, you want a show? We're gonna give you a show.
No doubt.
So our biggest thing is that it's making these boys and girls, making these stocks believe in themselves. You're worthy. You're worth a damn thing. You're worth a damn thing in life.
Right. Absolutely.
You're worth a damn.
Right.
Somebody's worth it.
Right.
Why? Because it comes to all of us, even you, mom, dad, all of us. Everybody kind of faces that mental breakdown where it's like, am I suicidal? Am I going to kill myself because I don't feel worth anything?
Right.
Like the encouragement that we get is whenever kids are testing us. Like his nephew, Trey. You know, like shout out to, Trey's parents, thank God for Rev, which is his uncle, like we had to break him. It's like, why do you want to act? Why do you want to act tough, Trey? It's okay to act tough, but what are you really acting tough towards?
Right.
It's kind of started hitting him mentally.
Right.
Like Trey getting into college, which he's at Weber State University.
For sure.
Him sending me a text message, be like, Coach, these parents, some of the parents don't know what they got them kids into.
Right.
Everything that you told us, showed us, it was right. So like, and people ask us, how do you guys do what you guys do for Wall Street? It's like, man, we just work all year long.
Absolutely.
We're raising funds. Some of the coaches putting their little, hey, I'm gonna donate towards this kid, and I always one of the things that I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for individually, and at the Wall Street staff that we're all grateful for is just kind of the community that we built, around us. And for me personally, I want to thank all the parents. I would love to name them down, but I wanted to thank all the parents, all of them. You know who you are, especially with us being blessed with kids with many talent. We can go down a list, but the list is so long. But I want to thank you for all the parents, that are watching this, that are going to hear about this. The Wall Street organization, Wall Street family staff wants to thank you all, from the team moms to our donors, to our supporters. We want to thank you all because we believe that, hey, we're always going to work harder than what our opponent's doing.
Absolutely.
You might be more gifted, more talented, your organizations might have more funds, but when you look at us from the outside in, you see our actions speak for itself, even throughout our struggles. So yes, sir.
Man, so let's break it down. Of course, we're talking to Wall Street, Coach AJ and my guy, Coach Wise, one of the top organizations, not just for 707, but just organizations. Now, when it comes to recruiting, you're one of those guys that you stand on business. You get things done. You get these guys the exposure they need. When they come into the Wall Street group, they get the exposure they need. You take them on trips. I've seen you countlessly in and out, going to trips, getting them at camps, putting them in the right eye, put them in front of the right eyes. That's a big key in order to get recruited. We talk about the right exposure and what you have to do to get it recruited every week right here on the On Your Mark Show. Break that down for us and what you guys do to get these guys exposure.
You want to go first, Rev?
I'm gonna let you go first. You the big dog.
So we on the recruiting side, it's man, for me, when we speak, all of our coaches, like Coach Manasseh Kabongo, David Kabongo's big brother, we had to work through, and Dave is now Oklahoma State.
No doubt.
And Eric Cabella, Jonathan Cabella's big brother. Those are both my first cousins on different opposite sides.
Right.
Jonathan's now at BYU,
Yep.
Playing at BYU.
Right.
And we have Coach Molo, which his son, Sienna's going to UMary University. We have Coach Antoine. And Coach Antoine had his brother that played with us, Christopher Taylor. He's a running back UMary. And then, obviously, Rev, Ajay, his nephew, Trey Vincent Park, he's now Weber State. So it was kind of one of those things that we took. For me, I just kind of sit back, really. I observe the kid. I watch the kid. I see him for what they are right now, but I'm also looking at you for where you can be. True. Not just what you can be, because I'm going to get it out of you. You're going to become that, because we got to speak it to life and truly believe in it. Because we believe the power in the tongue is the power, life and death. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put you in those situation, and then we're gonna make it come out of you. Yeah. So when we started working out with the coach's brothers and my cousins, I'm like, hey, let's kind of get going with them. Let me see what's gonna happen. Because if I speak for me, I'm one of those guys that I speak less. I'm gonna give you a show, but when it's time to work, I speak less, because my eyes can see, my ears are listening. So with that being said, I started seeing the kids. I started looking at the kid. I look at the parents, look at the background. Regardless of whether mom and dad is rich or poor, tall or small, now I'm starting observing, getting the background, just getting, digging more of their resume, doing a background check. I'm like, okay, what kind of stock is put in front of me right here? Now, this is how we can pick it up. Now, what do? We go to show up to coaches' conferences. The AFCA, we show up, about 4 of us coaches will show up. The multicultural, about 4 of us coaches will show up, and then we're spread out. We go as a unit, we're spread out, get as many coaches' contacts, information that we can get, and just kind of shake hands. With that being said, hey, Coach, I got a class of 40 guys right here, 40 of them are linemen, you know, and I got another 25, 35 guys that are skill guys. And I started putting them out there in front of the coach on site because we want our parents to see, hey, you're paying for your kid, out of our time, out of our dime, we're going to do this. So everybody looks at Wall Street, oh, you guys are traveling, it's fun. No,
it's about business.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna tell you why I know it's all about business, and he's doing it on the Division I level. Like I said, I just got down. I've been over a year now, but just traveling and having call time 5 o'clock in the morning, being in the conference room by 6 o'clock in the morning, going over film by 6:30. You see what I'm saying? Like, so really running the program like a Division I program, because here's the reality. A lot of cats, like I was saying earlier, want to go to that level, but not mentally ready for that level.
Well, the mental part is something that people don't speak about.
They don't speak about it.
That's something that we talk about on a weekly basis. Mm-hmm. You have to have the mental to go along with the physical. And sometimes that's more important. Go ahead.
More important. And what I love about Coach Wise and the Wall Street family is we don't sugarcoat with these boys.
Right.
One thing I've seen and I've watched him do, he going to talk to you the way that they going to talk to you at that level, because you got to understand something. This is what people don't realize as well. It's 10 of thousands of other people trying to get in the same position you're trying to go for.
Trying to go down the same foxhole.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you're not being that one that we need you to be, especially being respectful or coachable, guess what?
You're going to get replaced.
Like as Wise is saying, I ain't going to say it, but he'll say it. You out of here, but he'll say it a different way. You understand what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, where we are with this, you have to develop them to the point that if you're not ready for what you're trying to go into for, your mental capacity will take you out.
Right.
And that's something that's very big that young men and young women, because we're in a different time now, right? Have to understand that you have to be mentally ready for where you're going, and you have to have, number one, a level of resilience. You can't break.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
The word endure means to suffer but remain in existence.
Right.
In this life, in the football world, there's going to be a lot of levels of suffering, from the physical side even to the mental side.
Right.
But you still got to be able to remain in existence. And what Coach Wise has done, he's figured out the code, man. You understand what I'm saying? Not everybody. Matter of fact, Space Jam had something where it's a secret sauce.
Yeah.
It was in the bottle.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, it really wasn't no sauce. It was just really water. Right. But he had his mental to the point where he thought that they were drinking something that was secret. No. Right. Once we grab your mental, once Wall Street and you become a part of this family, and we can tear down what needs to be teared down and build you up in the way that you need to be built, you're going to be ready for the D1 level. And then, like I said, if it's not D1, D2 levels, because you got to understand there's other doors that will put you in. One thing about this man that I've seen him do, he works day and night behind these kids. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, he texted me, Coach AJ, what you think about this? What you think? I'm like, dude, I'm trying to go to sleep. But at the end of the day, his passion is so hungry for these kids, because if we don't go hard for the Wall Street family, who will? Right. And then another thing that I love, this is what people fail to realize. Once we get them to that level of being in college, we still love on them in the college level.
No doubt.
We still have things that we do for the college kids. I watch him on off seasons, kids that he put at the Division I levels or whatever college they go to, because I'm not going to just keep saying D1, because wherever you've been, it's a blessing. Let's just be all the way honest with that. Only 7% make it, and that's very low. But even with them on the off season, he loves on them. He brings them in. Hey, we're going to do these drills. Right. I'm going to make sure you're good. And one thing about Wall Street, I'm going to tell you this. If you ain't coming to Wall Street ready to stretch and get all your muscle, whatever he do with these tennis balls, y'all, I'm a preacher. I don't know nothing about nothing else. But when I got with him, I watched these workouts that he does with tennis balls and the bands and all of that, strengthening their muscles before they even touch a football.
Right.
Because if you're not strong, when you get on that field, a lot of things will break. So just getting you ready for that level, because at the end of the day, man, you need people that are very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Versatile.
Versatile, but somebody that's going to be very specific in the lane that you're trying to go in. And then here's this. Ready for this? My nephew wanted to play wide receiver forever. Coach Wise told him when he first got with him, he's a corner. Now he's playing corner in the D1 level.
Absolutely.
So what I'm saying to you is this man has the potential to see things in your children that you probably cannot see, because he's a student of
the game.
You understand what I'm saying?
Already.
Join Wall Street, man.
No doubt. Listen, Coach J, we Coach J, we talk about these things that Coach Wise and Coach AJ have been talking about, the mental capacity, the mental makeup. You've been training kids for years. You're a consultant. This is what you do on a weekly basis. Speak about that a little bit, because that's something that gets lost in the sauce.
Yeah, man.
You have to be mentally made up. Because, listen, when you go away from home, mom and dad's not there, and they pull up, they leave you for 2 days. I'm talking about this from experience. This is what you have to have the mental makeup. And this is the reason kids hit the transfer portal. This is the reason they come back home within the first week of practice of any sport when they get to the college level. Coach Jay, talk about that a little bit.
Man, one of the biggest things, Mark, and gentlemen, that I truly applaud you guys on is the ability to, do the things that we talk about every week, and that's prepare guys not only to go to school, but give them tools to stay.
Yeah.
That is so important in the direction of a lot of these young men, because a lot of them don't really understand that recipe for success it's beyond just having football IQ. It is, I also have to have that AQ, which is adversity quotient, and the ability to project where I am honestly and then see. The biggest thing is young men think they know what's coming because they see a glimpse of it and they say, well, I play football. I just want a ball. But they forget that you're dealing with grown men when you're coming out of high school at 17, 18 years old, and you don't have the mental capacity to be able to filter all of those words, all of those games that's going to be played with you, the mind games, just the torment of having to be pushed through. And those things happen for a reason, because if you break, you're not meant to be there anyway. Go home.
That's a fact.
So having that high level of I can handle adversity because I was prepared for it, and then I have a village behind me that I can connect back to and say, hey, these are the things that I'm going through. How do I proceed? Versus trying to deal with everything on your own when my understanding isn't fully there to be able to deal with it. So the preparation is, let me build you from the ground up. And if you get these tools and you utilize those tools, and you can handle adversity, because it's not just the ability to play football. It's not the ability to run track, to, play basketball. It is, how can I handle the adversity? How can I manage all of these things that's coming at me? Having to get up in the morning, having to deal with the girls and the coaches going off on me, and getting to practice and my body hurt and I don't want to do it, and wanting to have fun. I got to go to class. I got to do this. I got to take this test, and nobody's going to push you to do it but you. So that level of accountability and how I deal with that, I always tell parents, that don't happen the day you graduate.
No doubt.
That stuff has to be instilled very early,
right.
And you have to empower your kids early. But the biggest mistake is by doing everything for them and not putting them in a position where they can learn it real time and use those tools to say, you know what, I've been through something similar to this. Let me work my way through it. Most kids break because they don't know how to work through it.
Absolutely. Well, that's the reason. It's part of the reason the transfer portal is what it is now.
Yeah.
It's even trickled down to high school now. You guys know in this area, what I'm saying, the transfer portal is wide open. You know what I'm saying? And you don't really have to be in the know now to just kind of know. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
It's big, but right situation, right fit, right scheme, all of those type of things go into where you go, and rankings, 5 stars, and all that stuff. Those are just projections. That's not the end-all. And sometimes it doesn't even work out that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We're almost running out of time, Coach Wise. Real quick, go ahead.
So, I wanted to touch base on the recruiting and one other thing that's going to blow your mind. So, on the recruiting asset, after those conventions, when coaches get everything, me, I'm an intel type of person. Intel, detective. I like to dissect things. So, I started looking at rosters. I study what they got on their rosters, because every roster has an algorithm.
Told you, man.
Once I start studying their rosters, I start knowing, hey, I tell mom and dad, this coach is full of crap.
Right.
Because this is what they got here. This is what they're looking. And from the roster, I research the kids on those rosters, and I do a background check on those kids. And then now I know what this coach is looking for, what this coach wants. So pretty much I beat the coach to the punch. And at the mega camps, you're not going to find many organizations, a lot of high school coaches in the summer times, they're tired. They want to spend time with their families. So with us being an outside organization, like I said, the thing that makes us unique, we're willing to do what you're not willing to do. So in the mega camps in the summer times, we're there with our kids, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. Right. Some of them, as you see, we give our kids snacks on site. Right. Because we don't have time to run around and do X, Y, and Z. Right. And one of the things that I always get the privilege of doing when we travel, go to these junior day campus visits, I'm going to talk to the kids in front of the coaches, because that way coach already knows what he's getting from the Wall Street Foundation organization. Because, hey, they're talking to you like this. Now we know what you're coming from. We know what brand you're coming from. And then I always do a well job communicating with our high school head coaches, letting the high school head coaches know what's going on. And Big Mark, they say more money, more problems. The NIL is a scary deal, because now coaches, hey, we're paying you. You want to act a fool? We're going to get rid of you. Now, this is what's dangerous about NIL. I speak on that, especially kids from the States. Shout out to Patrick Hall, just got the job in Navarro Junior College.
Shout out to Coach Pat.
Coach Pat. Me and Coach Pat talked about this, and I talk about this with my coaches. It's a proven factor. The NFL, American football here will be the USA will be like a society how soccer is in Europe, where everybody goes to play soccer. The best of the best goes to all the European soccer leagues. I speak on that to say, if I'm a coach, I can get a kid from Samoa, from Tonga, New Zealand, Australia, Africa, and this kid's coming in and he's fine eating McDonald's every day, and he just wants to get the gear from the school, and culturally he's different, no headache, and physically he's a specimen. Why would I want to waste my time on you here asking me for $1 million or $500,000 when I can go get a kid overseas? Because it's going on now. Look at how many Pacific Islanders have been drafted. Absolutely. Look from coming fresh from overseas. Oh, they're first generation here in America. Absolutely. Look how many kids from Africa continent. I don't know if people picked up on it.
No,
they gave a message in the Super Bowl with the commercials.
We know it. This is what we talk about all the time.
People
right?
in the USA,
every week,
you have to pick up on it, because guess what? Like Coach Prime, used the term, they're coming. We're coming. When he spoke at that, I took it as, wait a minute, he's speaking for a lot of this is a broad thing. Yeah. Now you look what's going on in the draft. It's becoming others getting drafted. I go, pretty soon, if I'm a college coach, and I spoke to many college coaches, you're asking me for $300,000? Wait a minute. Let me go get this kid that's been here for 2 years, and he can play, and what does he want? Oh, he just wants all the Ohio State gear, all the University of Texas, everything that he can get at the school. Exactly. And parents, when your kid comes to an organization like Wall Street, I'm letting you know, I'm challenging you, because you're getting ready for competition.
No doubt.
So that's what I'm challenging you at, because and it's tough for high school head coaches in Texas, because high school head coaches, if they say certain things, they can get in trouble by the school districts. Outside organizations, we can say X, Y, and Z. Well, and I like to give a shout out to Coach Brooks at True Buzz.
Man, no doubt. Shout out to my guy Brooks. That's why they work hand in hand. Not to cut you off, but we are out of time.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? But listen, we'll revisit this. Y'all, this is not the last time you're gonna see these guys. We left a lot of meat on the bone. You know what I'm saying? Tell everybody where they can find you guys at on social media real quick.
Go ahead, man.
You can follow me at AJ_G, AJAE_G, or Rags to Riches Movement, or Wall Street. We off the wall, baby.
And I'm Wise Salumba. You can find me on Facebook, WISCCILUMBA on Facebook, on Instagram, Wall Street Athletes, and then on Twitter, Coach Salumba, Coach COACH Salumba, CILUMBA.
Man, listen. We educated and elevated you today, man. You need to rewind this, tap it in, do whatever you need to do. It's going up on the On Your Mark Show YouTube channel later on today, right here from the Fishbowl Radio Network. Shout out to my guy, Maynard Mike, who's going to take us out. We'll be back here next week, right from the Fishbowl Radio Network, the On Your Mark Show. We out.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, this Manna Mike. I'm not sure what you own, but this here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts, really focused. WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grind it. In the trenches, putting that work in, I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men, the boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top, we doing cone drills. The hottest show in the world, you don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work, you see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first, we wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say, oh, similar to a razor blade, we gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.